All right, Texas, we are continuing with ballot initiatives. Let's bring in the big state of Texas, where the stars at night are big and bright. In Texas, voters do not have the right and the option to place their own initiatives on the ballot to pass and repeal state laws and amend the Texas Constitution on their own. Voters only have the power to ratify into the Texas Constitution what the legislature puts before them through what is called a legislative referred constitutional amendment, aka state legislator initiative. Number one, Texas Proposition 1, Property Tax Limit Reduction for Elderly and Disabled Residents Amendment. A yes vote supported amending the state constitution to authorize the state legislature to reduce the property tax limit for school maintenance and operation taxes imposed on the homesteads of elderly or disabled residents to reflect any tax rate reduction enacted by law from the preceding tax year. This measure was ratified by 87.03%. What this means is that homeowners who are disabled or 65 years old and older can qualify for having school district property taxes capped or frozen. But when lawmakers in 2019 passed legislation to offset rising property values with lower school district tax rates for all homeowners, those adjustments did not account for elderly and disabled homeowners whose property taxes were already frozen. Under Prop 1, those homeowners could qualify for those additional reductions in 2023 if the measure passes. Now, that's coming from Senator Paul Bettencourt, a Houston Republican who wrote the legislation calling for the constitutional amendment. All right, so it says the frozen value unfreezes and then refreezes lower each year. Who supported this? All Republicans. So you'll see Governor Greg Abbott is one of the ones who supported it. One of the arguments was, to use plain English, this proposition will compress the tax rate for school maintenance and operations, M&O, for homeowners with a 65 plus or disabled exemption, just as HB 3 already did for other homeowners in 2019. Your tax rates for school taxes are going down because we passed HB 3. This will help seniors receive the same benefit. There was no opposition to this ballot measure, and there was no money that was spent to support or oppose it. Okay. Proposition 2, increase the homestead exemption for school district property taxes amendment. A yes vote supported increasing the homestead exemption for school district property taxes from $25,000 to $40,000. This measure was ratified by 84.95%. What it means: currently, homeowners can subtract $25,000 from their home's value before school tax rates are levied. Prop 2 would increase that deduction to $40,000 in value. The measure could save the average homeowner about $175 on their annual property tax bill. Again, that's coming from Paul Bettencourt. And it said this would go into effect this year. What's the impact for schools? Texas is now able to reimburse school districts for the lost property tax revenue, so schools would not lose funding. School districts with higher property wealth per student would also see lower payments into a state fund known as recapture, meant to support districts with lower property values. What's the impact for Texans? The measures would lower school district property taxes for qualifying homeowners, but some homeowners could still see increased tax bills because of the property value growth. Bettencourt said he expects increased tax bills for those with homestead exemptions to be in single digits. Homeowners who have a case can also protest their higher home values with their local appraisal districts. The propositions would not help renters, so this piece is important, who have also seen rising housing costs, nor business and or other property owners because homestead exemptions apply only to homeowner primary residence. This is interesting. Actually, I'm going to copy this link. Balls. Copy this link. I don't know why it won't let me to copy the whole link. Anyway, I'm going to put this in the chat so you guys can, those of you that live in Texas, you can actually see that article. You can read that article when you have time. Who supported this? Republicans. Governor Greg Abbott, as you can see, is one of the supporters. Organizations, Texas Public Policy Foundation and Texas Taxpayers and Research Association. One of the arguments, the additional proposal, Prop 2, is much shorter and easy to understand. It proposes an increase in the residence homestead exemption from property taxes for public school purposes for $25K to $40K. This is a badly needed adjustment, and I was proud to also co-author this legislation with Senator Betancourt last year. Who opposed it? One of the opposing arguments was from Ross Ramsey, who said the homeowners exemption increase is expensive. It would cost the state almost $2 billion over the next 5 years. It's straight up bid for homeowners who vote. It doesn't do anything for renters or for commercial and industrial property owners in the way that a cut in property tax rates would be. There was no money spent to support or oppose this measure. Here's a note here from friend of the show, Roger Meadows. Texas surpasses 17 million registered voters. Early voting starts Monday for 2022 primary election. That is the title of the link below. Yet, despite both of these measures being overwhelmingly ratified by 84 to 87%, the total number who voted was 1.2 million to 1.3 million. 17 million plus registered to vote earlier that year, but only 1.3 million vote. What would the turnout have been if Texas legislator put it before the voters on the day of the midterm election? What were they so afraid of that they had to not only feel they had to put both these measures on the ballot, not on a general election day, but in a special election of May 7th? Yet, peep this, early voting was from March 1st to March 19th, and the primary runoff was May 24th, yet the special election for this was on May 7th. That doesn't strike anyone as odd. What about this thing was so consequential that they had to sneak it under the radar? That is a very good point, Roger Meadows. And all I have to say to that is the stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know. I do not know, but that is a really good question. But thank you so much, guys.